Scott here with Rafters, Sports and Movies. And today we have an interview with Yes Legend. I'm doing the interviewing here, not you today. Legends in the house, folks. So I have in the Rafters with me today, Rick LeFevour. And you know him as the stunt coordinator for RUDY, Major League, Hardball, Celtic Pride, D3, Sudden Death, Rookie of the Year, FERRIS, Buller'S Day Off, and we're going to probably talk a little bit of the Blob. So here he is on channel with me, Rick LeFevour.
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So glad you could come onto the channel. Thank you so much. Don't worry about the Bigfoot Sasquatch guy running around in the channel. He won't bother you.
Okay.
So let's talk about how you went from not in the business to in the business.
Well, it's a long story, but basically, when I grew up, it was all Westerns on TV. I always wanted to be a cowboy, and I met through some people, a guy who was taking a Wild West show to Japan when I got out of high school. So I went to Japan for a year on a Wild West show.
Oh, my gosh.
When I came back from that, we did all the Western stunts there and rode the rodeo there. Started in LA, work as an extra, working my way in, trying to meet coordinators, stunt coordinators, to teach you how to do it the right way till you get into the business. And eventually I just kept working my way into it and moved back to Chicago in the early 80s. And that's when when the Blues Brothers started, I worked on that a day or two and then decided to stay in Chicago. And the film started leaving LA, started going around the country to other venues for different looks. And because equipment was a lot easier to work with than it used to be the old studio system. So I stayed in Chicago, based out of there, and I've been doing it for over 40 years now.
So you get a call, or do you get a contract? How do they get you? How do you end up on a project?
Well, nowadays it's like a reputation or your resume. If they're coming to the Midwest, they may look for me, but it's prior customers a lot too, different producers, but more the resume these days. And like when you're starting out, you work for different coordinators and you start to get a rep, like, hey, he's good at doing high falls, he's good at doing car work, fire work. Some people have a little better in certain things than others. So it's all with how you deliver as far as your final product as a coordinator, as a stuntman.
Right. And a lot of listening, I'm guessing, where you're listening for the vision, you're listening for what they're wanting, and then you're collaborating, bouncing things back and forth.
Yeah, as a coordinator, I'll get a script and I'll meet with the director and the producers, see what their vision, how they may want some things to go. It can go several ways for me. It's like a director that maybe is brand new, not sure how to get a shot, so you help them out quite a bit. Or you get one that's kind of knows something, that they've done some stuff and help them refine what they want. And other ones will tell you exactly what they want, and you try and deliver what their vision is. And
then it's rock and roll.
Right.
Okay. Well, on your very extensive list, your extensive resume is the movie that so many people enjoy, and I enjoyed as well, starring Sean Astin. And it's that little football movie that's not so little, RUDY. Tell us about RUDY.
Well, I think it's part of the Notre Dame. When you go to Notre Dame now, it's part of when you welcome packet, you got to go watch RUDY, see what it's all about at Notre Dame now, as I've heard. But when we first got it, to us, it would be a smaller movie. I remember the story. It was in Sports Illustrated years ago, and David Ansbaugh was the director, and he had done Hoosiers, so he had done some sports movies before, and he wanted that feeling about Notre Dame. So once again, you really don't know when you're working on them how good they're going to turn out, but you could tell some of the film, the shots we were making were going to be pretty cool. They brought NFL films in to shoot the football sequences, so they looked real, not rehearsed. And pretty much most of the hits were real hits. We recruited a team of guys that just got out of college, some club guys, and we had some good players, and that's why we got the football sequences. And for Sean Astin, a stuntman named Jim Fierro did all the hits for Sean. And then when I see the movie every once in a while, I call him, tell him I didn't pay him enough. They were kicking the crap out of him.
I watched it the other day, and I'm like, Sean really looks like he's taking a beating. But
Sean got in there. He some of the stuff, we had to pull him out because he's so much smaller than some of the other people. Even if they fall him, they could hurt them. So I can tell you a funny story. The director, David Ansbaugh, would just want to go to center for one sequence just to play around a little bit. And Sean's playing defensive end. And he stuck our director, took him down. So it's on film somewhere.
So, so Sean, he doesn't have he doesn't have a football background at all, meaning he didn't play in high school. He didn't play.
I don't think so. I remember, I think we had to go to a little boot camp for him, just to show him how the position worked. But he was totally into it. I mean, that whole Rudy vibe, like, you can't stop me, I'm going, that kind of thing.
He got the direction. He understood the task at hand. I'm that ant that's going to take down the rubber tree plant. That's right. I'm dating myself a lot by knowing that song. So when you shot that, were they using cranes, or were they using to get those high shots?
Yeah, there were some towers, like scaffolding towers. There was a couple of cranes when we were actually in the stadium, so they could come up over the wall and look into the stadium during some of the games. A combination of both.
And then, so shooting it, you had a real crowd. How did that work? Tell us about that.
Well, they shot a lot of real game footage. When he wasn't playing, the game that he gets to play, they let us do like 7 plays at halftime. So we rehearsed those plays for like 2.5 weeks. So we only had so much time because they're on TV and live game. And they like multiple cameras around the stadium in the stands where his family was, cameras on the field, so we could cover it all. So they put out a leaflet to all the people going to the Notre Dame game that we're going to shoot at halftime. Please stay in the seats if you can to be in this movie. So I can't remember who Notre Dame was really playing that day, but we had our uniforms on, and our uniforms were old Notre Dame uniforms. So it's a big thing when they come out of the tunnel. We were in the tunnel, and everybody's looking at us like, why are they playing these old uniforms? And then the other team was not the team they were playing that day. And they're like, what the heck, did I screw this up? These tickets aren't right. And they're looking at us, we're a lot smaller than some of the players too. So it kind of seemed they're scratching their heads. So it was it worked out that most of the people stayed in the stands and for the 7 plays we ran.
That's a genius way to get that done. I mean, seriously.
In that, in those days, and like you said, all the close-up stuff we talked a little earlier, where the sideline stuff was all shot days in advance to get the acting parts, so we'd have to tie it up too long. So I'm on the field with about 4 or 5 of the stunt guys to run it. I'm calling the plays out there. We had to get a kickoff, and our kicker had been doing pretty good all week. He was enough to do a kickoff. We're getting ready to go, and he shanks it. So it only goes like 15 yards. I look over the sidelines. I just run and pick it up. I go, everybody go back, go back. The camera, give me the thing. Cameras are still rolling. We did it again, to get it going. And the guy was able to get it far enough to do a kickoff, so we could do all the plays where Rudy gets in the game, makes the big play.
That's so interesting. And now that the whole shooting at halftime during a real game at the real venue, because that was at Notre Dame. We're not at some high school or some off lot thing. We're at the real deal. And now they're repeating that. They did that for Chad Powers, which just 2 years ago, they shot it back in 2024. So you set the tone. You guys set the tone on that, because
it worked out pretty well with cooperation with Notre Dame. And my favorite shot is when they're taking Rudy off the field. There's one of the cheerleaders. They can see his face like, what the heck was that? He's got the natural expression like, that was so cool, I guess, like that. If you look at the guy, I love it. If I still see it, it's just his expression that kind of tells it all. Him going off the field.
Right, and he was just an extra. He was not.
He was just a guy, one of the cheerleaders, one of the Notre Dame
happened to be there.
Like, happened to be in the shot, and like probably just like, what just happened here? That kind of deal.
Right. Well, still an iconic movie, still watchable today. It holds up through the years. Still gets. I've had several people on the channel that said, and when I'll be asking you the same questions here in a little bit. I asked them what their favorite, what the movie is that motivates them, that makes them just want to go through a wall. And so many people have said Rudy, that's the movie that gets them pumped up and going, that, I can accomplish anything. If he can do it, I can do it.
It's all based on the true story. And and for him too, the real Rudy, he kept bugging and David Ansbaugh and all these other producers to make the movie. That we were kind of like, maybe not. He's the one that pushed it over the goal line, basically. Excuse me.
Wow.
He kept bothering them until they got the job done, until they made his movie.
Okay. If anybody in the chat has a question about any of these movies for Rick, please put them in the chat. I'm going to move on to our next one, which is Major League. Now we're talking baseball. Got my jersey on. So what's something you want to share about that one that was kind of different?
Well, that was kind of the same thing. It wasn't a live game we shot in the old county stadium in Milwaukee. And to keep the extras in the stands, they have auctions every night, like color TVs. Excuse me, I'm really sorry about that. I got a little cough going. Color TVs, keep people entertained between the shots because it was always a night game. So we got to play a lot of fun baseball there with the actors. I think I was telling you a little earlier that I was doubling Corbin Bernstein, who played Dorn in the movie. And there's a fight scene between him and Charlie Sheen in the locker room. So the day before I wasn't there, and last time I talked to the director and everything, he was going to wear a full baseball uniform. There's going to be a whole fight hitting the floor, lockers, over stuff in the locker room. So I figured, well, I could put pad up a little bit so I could really hit the ground hard or into the lockers. So I come into that night. Corbin decided the night before that he didn't want to do it in the baseball, but he did like in sliding shorts and a tank top. So George Aguilar was doubling Charlie Sheen, tackles me over the table, goes slamming in the lockers. I was black and blue everywhere, and I was more worried about all the extras playing baseball players had real cleats on, metal cleats. My toes were curled under. I thought I was going to lose a toe. They were jumping everywhere around us. I was like, it was one of my major memories. I took a beating in that where hopefully I wouldn't as much as I did.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get hurt in that one. That's for sure. Because that
was so black and blue, And then George Aguilar was doubling Charlie. He got to wear the hairdo with the arrow heads in his hair, and he was out in New York back then. He goes, "I'm getting a lot of looks on the airplane." I go, "Well, you know what? Only you and Charlie Sheen are the only two guys in the whole country have that haircut. So there you go." So.
Right. Yeah. And then after this movie comes out, it's going to be all grown in. Nobody's going to know it anymore.
Right.
So
right.
I mean, it's going to be back to normal. Definitely an iconic movie. It's still in the top, definitely in the top comedy for baseball, and just everything, the way it was shot, the jokes, how they landed. I'm sure you guys had something to do with the Wesley Snipes waking up and doing the run down they were running the 40-yard dash, and he comes around the corner and runs.
Yeah.
And the guy's
like
running.
Hayes, runs like Hayes. Yeah.
Right. Truly classic. So let's see. The next one I've got, because I've got a long list, and I've got a Hardball. Now this is a movie a lot of people may not have seen. It's Keanu Reeves. It's 2001, so it's early in his career. And basically, and I'm going to spoil it a little bit. It's kind of so people know that are watching. It's kind of a Gordon Bombay goes to the projects story. I'll let you take it from there.
You kind of correct is he is in trouble with the courts, and they pretty much tell him he's got to run this project for these kids' baseball team. And we actually shot in some real projects in Chicago, and so it's Keanu wanted to do something a little different. We had done Speed together, a couple of shows like that by then, and it was a little different movie for him. It wasn't a lot of action and it was kids' baseball, but unfortunately, in the projects we were shooting in was real projects, and we had a couple of times where some gun battles, not shooting at us, but rival gangs, and Keanu kind of being a good guy, which he was, would go into projects, talk to all these kids, try and help them out, and we all did. And we were there so long, we got to know all the families, and it was kind of a sad situation that they had to live in that condition. Some of it. It was a hard movie to film that way. Basically we're shooting what reality was. I think any day anybody could be shot in these areas.
Right, and then you wrap, and then they're still there.
Correct.
They're still in their state. Their situation didn't change. Life moved on. But it does have I do like the ending. It does have a good ending. It is probably the saddest sports movie. I think the only one sadder is Greater, the football movie about the Arkansas football player. It's probably the only one that's sadder. Anyway, Celtic Pride. And I personally love this movie. I think its comedic value is awesome. I think for me, all the jokes landed with this one. Came out in 1996, and we were talking before how it didn't really land in the box office, which is really sad because it's a funny movie.
Well, very surprising. Like I said, for when we got to play at the old Boston Garden on the parquet floor, which was totally amazing for me, being a basketball fan. And, you know, with Dan Aykroyd, Danny Stern, and Damon Wayans, I mean, it's going to hit a home run there for sure. And the scenes we were shooting in the stadium, I mean, you know, they probably had 200-300 extras, depending on what the shots were, probably more. Everybody was barrel laughing. You couldn't stop. You had to take time to get these guys that were improvising and having a lot of fun. I think it said everybody, this is the funniest sports movie I think is ever going to come out. And then when it came out, in real life it's funny, and film it just wasn't quite as funny, but still a funny story. But just I guess to see him in real time was a little funnier than actually on film.
Right.
Because they were competing with each other. You see Dan Aykroyd and Danny Stern going at it, and Damon Wayans. Some great acting comedians there. And
Damon Wayans being the younger of the three, because the other two had been around for a while, and he's still making a name for himself at that point. Any stunts there that you remember that were like, wow, that really turned out well, or that?
You know, there were some good fight scenes we did in there, more slapstick type stuff when because they kidnap him, and I think we were talking about it. Some of the actors like Damon, they wanted him to dunk the ball like Michael Jordan. And I'd done a couple commercials with Michael Jordan, and they didn't want to injure himself during a commercial, and he played so many games here, his feet were kind of beat up a little bit. So instead of jumping his iconic dunk shot, or coming off a mini tram or some way to get him up in the air, we had him run up a ramp just out of frame, dunk the ball, and return ramp on the other side. So we're able to do that with some of the actors, so they could get the elevation we needed without them rolling an ankle or tweaking a knee.
So those that are watching, if any of you watch those old iconic, do you remember what product he was selling? Was that Nike? Was that just a straight Nike, or is that?
No, it was before Nike. There were some local spots in Chicago. I think one was a car commercial, and I can't tell me the other, but I think one definitely was a car spot.
Okay, so we might not be able to find those on YouTube if we go looking for them, because
Nike was a little bit bigger on the budget.
Right.
They didn't shoot those.
To have him. But have him go up a ramp and down a ramp to do his Michael Jordan air dunk, and not, finding a way to not hurt him. I think that was genius. That just it makes so much sense. It doesn't make sense.
Right. It worked out. Just saw him in the air, the inner frame and left frame in the air, so didn't have to see him hit the ground.
So I said in our preview, I definitely wanted to get to this one. So let's talk Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's a big sports movie.
They do go to a Cubby game. Come on.
They do.
So now I'm assuming there weren't any stunts in that sequence, but there were other sequences. You had him jumping the fences.
When he's running back to his house, we did that. And then, every time he's trying to get home, and then we jumped the Ferrari. He's taking the Ferrari for a ride, the iconic shot there. So there was a couple. It wasn't like a big action movie, but there were some stunts in it, like falls and that kind of things like that. And like I said, you never know. We're making a movie, and it seemed like a nice little script. And then here we are over 40 years later, and it's still being talked about. It was that's great, good of a movie. Thanks to John Hughes.
And a good friend of mine, his daughter was home one day from school, and so what does he do? He says, "We're gonna watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off," and she's. I think she's in 5th or 6th grade, so it's getting close to that high school age, to that rebellious time frame, and we're gonna watch. It's time for you to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they did. So I think that's a great thing to do with your kid when they're home from school.
No, it's a classic movie. It turned out really well.
So the flying car scene. Okay, so two things about the car scene. One is the destroying of the car, and one is the flying car scene. That was a real race car driver driving it, right?
Oh, that was me. There's two of us. I did one of the jumps. It was like a kit car, so parts of the car kept falling off, like the bumper and stuff. So we just came over a ramp, like a 3-foot ramp over the camera. And then when we launched it out of the house, if you look, the cameraman had to really pan really hard because it came out faster than they thought. It went a little farther than we thought it was going to come out. So that was a shell that came out of the parking garage, or the garage area.
Okay, the shell of a car.
Right.
Oh, okay. Again, movie magic, right?
Right.
We're not going to destroy a $120,000 car. That's not in the budget.
No.
Or however much that car was worth. So tell us about The Blob, 1988. It had some sports in it.
Stunt coordinator Gary Himes called me. He said that you played football. But I go, yeah, a little bit back in high school. And he goes, well, there's a sequence in the beginning where it's a high school game before the Blob comes and introduces all the actors. So it's the very beginning of the movie. I had to run back punts all day. And there's a scene we tackle some people into the Gatorade bench and run about 4 or 5 plays in the movie. And that day, the other team was, there was like 6 stunt guys in certain spots to take the bigger hits. But there was the local team that had been like that part of Louisiana. I guess they were the state champions or whatever for that county, whatever. And we're playing them, and they're sticking us for real. So my fingers are all black and blue from running punts back all day almost. And like talking to these kids, like they go ask me when the last time I played, and I tell them what year I played, and they go, "That's the year I was born." So, but I think that we're basically they're tackling dummies most of the day. So,
right.
But it was fun playing football again.
Right. That's pretty funny. So before we get, I'm going to do here in a second. I'm going to do the 4 to 5 questions in 4 to 5 seconds. But I wanted to ask you, what's been your favorite project to work on, just in general? Everything's on the table.
Well, there's been a couple. I mean, as far as car chase stuff, I did the movie Speed, and then we did The Dark Knight. And for me, most stunts I did in one movie is a movie called Tango and Cash. I doubled Kurt Russell. A lot of high work in there, a lot of car driving in that. But there's been several over the years, like movies like when I first started, like Risky Business, got to do some driving in that. I'm trying to think of the early ones.
Did you help with dropping the car in the lake?
Yeah. I was on the pier when it went in the lake.
So how was it? Oh, that just seems to be kind of a scary. It looks scary. I'm sure it wasn't as scary as what it looked like.
No, and you're talking Risky Business, talking about?
Right, with the car and the dropping in off the
pier.
And
yeah. No, it wasn't too bad. The pier wasn't that high in the air, and they pulled the legs off from the pier, and that's made it collapse, and the car just rolled in with me. It was a shell. There was no motor in that car either. So,
right.
But The Dark Knight, we did some big car chase. We flipped a semi truck on that one. And
those movies are incredible.
On Speed, you jumped the bus on Speed, which has never been done before either. So there's a couple I've been involved with where things were first times, and they actually came out pretty well.
Right. Yeah, Speed's an iconic movie too. Keanu and Sandra Bullock on that one.
Right.
And
Gary Himes is the coordinator on that one. Yeah.
Really made us believe that the bus was in danger and gonna crash or crash through other cars and all the stuff that it did.
There were several buses, depending on what we were doing. The bus for the jump was built just for the jump. The driver was a guy named Joffrey Brown. He was driving the bus from the middle of the bus, and there was a dummy in the front because if it came down too hard, probably break his back if he was in the front. So Joff drove it on a chain drive about 55 miles an hour off a 12-foot ramp. The bus was like 40 feet long, so he was up in the air, probably about 35 feet in the air, went about 95 feet to the air before he came down. So, but
that's a one-shot deal, right?
Yeah, and the director, he was upset. He thought everybody would be killed on the bus, and how would this look? But we reassured him that they jumped another bus. Ronnie Rondell jumped that one off like a 4-foot ramp, and you see the landing when they supposedly cleared that big space on the highway. But Joffrey Brown drove the big one that flew through the air quite a ways. Never been done before either. So
I need to watch that one again. That's such a good, that is such a good movie. I totally enjoyed that one. All right, so now it's time for 4 to 5 questions in 4 to 5 seconds.
Okay.
And so the questions I have for you are, what is your favorite sports moment? And it could be any moment. It could be a personal moment. It could be a global moment. It could be a Bears moment. I
think, Walter Payton was my favorite. Luckily, I got to watch him. I was working some of the Bear games back then. So the 80s Bears, I got to see him. Some of the plays that he did were still stick in my mind that you knew if they were 5 yards out, Walter was going over the top. It was a no-brainer. And the guy was such an athlete. And One time I'm on the sidelines, they're playing Green Bay, comes around the corner there, and he linebacker and the safety hit him, sound like just like a truck crash. You know, all the air came on him. He slides right by us. Walter gets up, goes, "Good hit, guys. See you back. I'll be coming back." And runs back in there, and they just almost they couldn't stop the guy. So anything with Walter Payton was my favorite.
He knew he was good.
Oh yeah, yeah. He said he never wanted them to know if they hurt him. He just got right back up and went back in.
Right. What was the first sports movie you watched as Little Rick? That's a little
Angels
harder.
in the Outfield is one I can remember, the old black and white one.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever seen the black and white one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And they show it sometimes in spring. The other one was the Lou Gehrig story with Jimmy Cooper. I remember seeing that one when I was a kid too. So,
okay. I like this. I like that question because I get to write down some movies now. I got to go find them.
The other one is like the first, more like high school, starting to get high school. It was The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds was one of my favorite football movies, the first one.
The original Longest Yard, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
I do like that they brought him back for the sequel,
second one, yeah.
Adam Sandler one.
Right.
I thought that was a nice touch. Nice touch. Favorite motivational sports movie? I mentioned this early. This is the one that makes you just want to go through a brick wall.
Well, besides a Rudy, like Miracle on Ice would be a good one. You know, after actually really watching those guys play in 1980, it was amazing what they did. It's basically a rookie team taking on a pro team. You know, the Russians were pro, and I thought that was a good movie, motivational movie.
And those kids hadn't been playing together for
Thrown
years.
Together. Yeah,
like the Russians had.
Right.
Yeah, good choices. Love those. A little off the wall question. Favorite movie, snack, and drink. So you're settling into this fantasy land of you're already comfortable. You're watching whatever movie it's your favorite, and you magically can order up your favorite snack and drink. What would that be?
Well, I guess definitely have to go with popcorn. If your movie's got to be popcorn. I'm thinking in the movie theater, it'd probably just be some Coke or Pepsi or something, I guess.
Well, you can have anything. This is
fantasy. Beer. I'll have a Budweiser then.
Okay. Popcorn and Budweiser.
There you go. Movie magic right there.
Yeah, I've got some interesting answers on this one too. That one too. Yeah, for sure. Any final thoughts or final comments you want to tell the folks about?
Well, I've been lucky. I'm in a job that I'm very lucky to have. I've been able to do like all these movies we just talked about, work with very talented actors, directors, people behind the camera over the years. So I just feel blessed I was able to have this job all these years and be able to make some movies like we talked about still that people still enjoy talking about or still see.
Excellent. Great. Well, thanks for coming on the channel. I'll meet you backstage here in a second. Hey, this has been Rafters, Sports and Movies. Hope you enjoyed my interview with Rick LeFevour. He's still working. He's got stuff coming out. You got to check out his stuff. His stunt work is excellent. His movies that he's involved in are incredible. This is Scott with Rafters, Sports and Movies.